Hey guys, it's Jules here with True Crime Reactions. It is around 8 o'clock on Sunday morning, and I have made my coffee. Look at this. Look at this deliciousness. Oh, I didn't even know it was leaking. I love coffee, bro. I love coffee. Coffee is my favorite thing on the planet. Coffee makes me happy. I have mentioned previously that I was most likely going to do a reaction video to the interview that Chronicles of Olivia did with Kaylee's family. So if this video actually makes it to YouTube, that means that there was a lot of verifications and some new information that we hadn't heard before. So let's go ahead and press play.
She jumps into that water, she instantly pops her head up and is bawling. Just bawling. Bawling. It was that cold. But she couldn't let the boys beat her. She couldn't let me beat her.
They all knew exactly what memory she was seeing in her head. That's cute. So they're talking about how whenever they were younger, there was this situation where they were all hanging off the garage door, all the kids. Olivia, Kaylee, all the kids were hanging off the garage door trying to see who could hang on the longest. And Steve is sitting here kind of like remembering it because all the kids were like, oh my God, we got in trouble with Dad. This is like the first time they've really been in trouble with Dad. Apparently they were soft parents and didn't really do too much disciplining, which is totally fine. These kids seem great. From what we know from Kaylee and what we know from Olivia, these parents did a great job. So we're just going to leave that part at that. But what I noticed kind of just messed me up a little bit. Steve is sitting there talking about how he was scared to death whenever he drove up that day. And so all the kids, like, hanging off the garage door because if that thing came crushing down, it could kill them because it was so freaking heavy. And he sits there and he says, I'm scared to death. My kids are going to die in a driveway. And the fun memory fades from him and his face falls. And at the beginning of this clip, he's sitting more closer to the edge of the couch. And as what he just said hits him, he moves closer to Olivia. I just know what was going in his head at that time, and it just kind of messed with me. So regular discipline didn't even bother Kaylee. Take away her little shopping trip to Claire's and she fall out. That's my daughter, yo. So they talk about how Kaylee and Maddie met in 6th grade. And I love that they brought this up because it shows how protective Maddie's parents were over Maddie. Kaylee's mom's talking about the very first time that Maddie was supposed to be coming over to their house. And Maddie's parents insisted on meeting Kaylee's parents in person and having a sit-down conversation with them, even though it was just going to be a simple play date. No spending the night, just a simple play date. And I love that. I love protective parenting like that. We need to see more of it. I'm so glad that they have this in here. And Steve makes a perfect point. Maddie was their only baby. I feel so bad for them. Olivia describes Kaylee and Maddie's relationship really beautifully here about how they were yin and yang, so perfectly different but perfectly the same at the same time. That even though it was Maddie and Kaylee and Maddie, it was as if they were one person because of how much they completed each other. Guys, this is like heartbreaking. Like seriously, like we knew this whole time how close they were. But whenever you hear the details and the way that the family describes that type of friendship, it ending so fast and tragic just is... Ugh. They grew up going on family vacations together to all different places around the world. They had a really good life. I can't even imagine how much greater it would have been in their full adulthood. So Maddie actually moved into the King Road house first a couple of years ago, according to Kaylee's mom. And Kaylee just moved into the King Road house in June, which is the same month that Brian Koberger moved to Washington. That's interesting. It seems like whoever the private driver was that brought Kaylee and Maddie home that night, the family knows who this person is. Now, I don't know if they mean that this person turned them on to the food truck feed that's on Twitch or turned them on to the food truck itself, but they mention how they knew this person, this person had driven the girls home on several different occasions prior to this. The family has talked to him and this person told them about the food truck. So it's good to know that this wasn't just some like random person, that it was somebody that the girls actually knew, even though it doesn't really mean anything, but it still shows that they were smart in the actions that they did take that night. Just like my last video, I have a clip of Olivia stating such things. The girls did everything right, all the way down to having someone familiar that they were comfortable with take them home. It just goes to show you that it doesn't matter how safe you are. The universe is going to do what the universe wants to do. The family makes it clear here that Kaylee graduated on her own accord, that there was no posthumous certification that was given to her, which is whenever your graduation certificate or something like that is given to you upon your death. This was a true graduation, and Steve makes a point that Kaylee didn't even want to walk at the ceremony. She just wanted to get her certificate and go on about her life, which we all did know that she was supposed to be moving to Texas very soon to start a new job. Okay, we knew that law enforcement was not the first people to contact the family, that Kaylee's family had known from people calling and telling them what had happened hours before law enforcement got a hold of them. But the first rumor was that a party was pew-pewed. YouTube algorithm, I have to use weird words. That was the original thing the family was told by a cousin, who was told that by someone else who lived in that area. That's insane. So the family calls and tells them whose family they are, and they just get told, we can't give you any information, we'll call you back. Hi, we think my daughter was just killed and y'all are investigating a murder scene, and I need some verification on if my child is dead or not. Oh, we'll call you back. Oh no, I'm so mad. Then the youngest daughters in the family started getting phone calls from people at the area, random people at the area. So did that mean that they had Kaylee's phone and there was random people at the scene grabbing Kaylee's phone and calling family members from their personal phones from getting her little sister's contact information out of her phone? That is like, whoa. Hearing a family member has passed away from a stranger, from anybody, just in general, is traumatic enough. And if this is how Kaylee's family found out, then can you just imagine this is most likely how all of the families found out? A whole bunch of randos? I mean, I'm hoping not. But geez, this is traumatic, man. Wow. The family was just as confused as we are about the whole unconscious person thing. Because while they were getting told there was an unconscious person, they were still getting told that Kaylee was dead. And they weren't really getting any other information other than that. This is insane. Insane. So they started getting frantic phone calls from people about what happened around 1 o'clock, and they didn't actually hear from anyone that was official law enforcement till 4:30. That is 3.5 hours of freaking the hell out, getting all kinds of weird, crazy, obviously incorrect information thrown at you in the middle of panicking, on top of still not being able to get a hold of your daughter. And in their case, also not being able to get a hold of Maddie. Wow. I'm really glad that they brought up Jack in this interview. Because yes, while a lot of us were questioning things about their relationship, because that's the ex-boyfriend, they were together for so long, and we've seen in so many cases where it is the partner or the ex-partner. In Laci Peterson's case, that's like the most famous one, where the family of the victim took up and didn't believe there was any possibility that Scott Peterson could have anything to do with Laci's death, and then look what ended up happening. So for us to question that is completely normal, but a lot of people did go extremely overboard, like excessively, horribly overboard. So the family went so far as to even take photos of Jack's body to prove that there was no scratches or bruises or any injuries on him. That's actually really smart, like on the family's part, because they're trying to do their own investigation at this point. I mean, we've seen how hard this family has worked to find justice. But that also says a lot about Jack, because he had no issue. Photo me up, let's go. No problem whatsoever. If that little bit of information would have been told to us from the beginning, probably all of the scrutiny towards Jack would have been alleviated. But I mean, I understand why we weren't told so much, but it would have helped the crazy. So we've heard the little story before about how Kaylee went on a date with someone after her and Jack had broken up, and the guy had called her the B word, and it just completely threw her brain off because Jack had never once ever said that towards her, and she didn't know how to take it. And geez, I wish my little heart was that innocent, because I don't even think there's a number for how many times I've been called that. So Kaylee did follow Olivia on TikTok. This is a very personal case to her. I do know that she did a News Nation interview about doing this documentary, and she mentioned all of this. My viewers know how I feel about the company that Olivia keeps, but they also know that I believe that she is incredibly beautiful and talented. Her editing skills, her demeanor, there's something special about Olivia, and I really do think she's going to be able to take this talent of hers pretty far. But this is a very personal case to her, so it's actually like an ode to Kaylee and her passions and what she was interested in, that this is the circle that it ended up making. It's kind of sweet. It's sad, but it's sweet. They were cremated, so their urns sit together forever, even in the after. Well, that's it. That was really good. That was very well done. Kaylee would have appreciated how much attention and care was taken in this interview and putting all of these pieces together. And she would very much appreciate the fact that Olivia did this for her and her family. So this was nice. I mean, it's sad that this is where we are, but this was very nicely done. So if you haven't already, I would encourage you to go and watch it. I'll have the direct link in my description box, but it just gives you even more insight to how innocent that night was supposed to be. The girls left together. They took every precaution that they needed to whenever they went out that night, down to the point to where Hoodie Guy really was just making sure that they got home okay. We saw a male escorting them to the food truck, someone that they were familiar with and could protect them, walking them 8 minutes away from the corner club to the food truck. So he really was just innocently trying to be a good guy. Dang.